So, welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I'm Morrow, your storyteller for today, and today we have some RPG horror stories. It's fun to mess with voices, even if you're not like a voice actor. It's really good for improv and DMing and just, I don't know, to be silly. My favorite one to do is probably the old man voice. It's kind of like an old man and a gremlin together, and you just kind of scamper about and you just do mischievous things because you're a scampering little pilfer or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, I'm talking nonsense. Let's get to the first RPG horror story for today. D&D player kills my pet lizard. I was playing D&D as a DM with a group of people I thought were friends. Most still are. But one of these players legitimately fills me with rage and sadness that even to this day I can't even describe. One of the players was your typical self-centered Mary Sue who wanted the whole campaign to be about him. He loved his character, Orc Druid. He wrote a 5-page backstory and demanded that we all read it, and he would unironically tell me things like, "This campaign is boring. Imagine if we decided to make this campaign about Orc Druid's rich backstory. It literally involves a lich. All we are doing right now is looking for some hobgoblin war chief." This right here is how to not do backstory. Your backstory shouldn't be this epic character arc that your character went through to now just, helping the farmers around the area or to look for missing children or fight some wolves and stuff. Your backstory should be how your character got to where they are in the location, in place, how they unlocked their class or whatever, how they unlocked their journey, their life journey, and what got them to this moment right now. If you add your character that went on this epic track, this 5-page saga, and the fought a lich and being in a war and stuff, it's just, first of all, it's just so unrealistically difficult for your DM to try to incorporate into the backstory because it's not about the things that could happen, it's about things that have happened. If you relegate all the cool things happening in your backstory instead of mid-session, you sort of kill the campaign for yourself. You ruin the character for yourself because you already set the character up, that made all these incredible achievements and accolades, and now you're going off to fight goblins and wolves and help find missing children and stuff, and it's not gonna match up. Backstory should only be like a page and a half, 2, something for your DM to work with and try to incorporate parts of your backstory into the campaign. You should be doing cool epic journeys in game, not in backstory. The way this guy is doing backstory is just not a good way to do it. As well, also having this attitude of, "Well, my character did all these cool things. My story is so much better than the current story." You're not the DM right now. Shut the hell up. Plus, depends on how you start the campaign at like whichever level. Let's imagine level 1. It's hilarious to think that a level 1 Orc Druid was able to encounter a lich, maybe fight them or something. I don't know. It's silly. It just doesn't make sense. So you can imagine when his precious orc died, along with another party member who wasn't a total psycho man baby, after prematurely trying to confront the hobgoblin warchief's mummy, despite the party warning him that this was not a normal mummy. He said he didn't care and just wanted to get this over with. He threw the typical tantrum when the mummy killed him, accused me of having a DM versus party mentality, said that I'm a bad DM, etc. Then he started getting more belligerent and threatening to kick my ass, and then escalating to death and struggle snuggle threats. So my husband obviously started hearing this meltdown and came out and in no uncertain terms told him to leave the house before he regrets it. Yeah, definitely kick him out. He's insane. Absolute man babe. What a man child. Got so upset and butthurt that his character died when told, "Hey, don't do that, you might die. Actions have consequences," kind of thing. What a complete and utter piece of shit. Orcs player then just looked like he was ready to fight him until my husband just kind of gave him the fuck around find out look. So he backed down and stormed out. But not before passing my Tegu's tank. He was a baby, so he lived in a tank. But my husband was in the process of basically turning our backyard into an enclosure for him when he got bigger. I love that little lizard and spend hours with him every day. If you have never dealt with a tegu, you may not understand, but they're just about the most doggo-like reptiles out there. And this still pains me to this day. But that bastard, as he was leaving, violently shoved the tank to the ground, and then as my lizard tried to run, he stepped on him. Oh no. Dude. Oh, I am so sorry. I am so sorry that happened to him. Over a game! Over his character dying! This fucker! This absolute fucking piece of shit! This scumfuck killed your pet because his character died when you told him, hey, don't do it. What? Fucking lunatic. I hope you called the police. Can you even call police on something like that? I hope there was some sort of legal repercussions on that sort of thing, because holy shit. What the fuck? What an absolute fucking scumfuck, dude. I broke down immediately in hysteria. I could not stop crying as my husband just violently grabbed this piece of shit and tossed him out the house as the rest of the party helped him. And all I could do is hold my dead little friend and cry. We called the police, but they just basically told us to go to small claims court and or get a restraining order. Our police department is kind of crappy where we live in general, so this unfortunately was not a surprise. Oh, as somebody who had to deal with police that are also crappy, oh, I feel you. I hope you got the restraining order. I genuinely hope you got the restraining order. Restraining order is much needed. Small claims court would be a painful process to go through. Definitely a restraining order though. Small claims court, that's really on you, but definitely a restraining order for that piece of shit. But it felt like a sick joke to me to put a price on that little lizard in some small claims court. Plus he was a rescue, so I didn't buy him. I know that may seem silly, but this event really just destroyed me. That campaign abruptly ended and I haven't played D&D or any other TTRPG since. And I doubt I ever will again. And the rage I feel for that lowlife who would kill a defenseless animal over a freaking D&D game is overwhelming. I honestly wish death upon him. I know I shouldn't, but it's just how I feel. I can't hold that against it, honestly. Fuck that guy. He's a piece of shit. He's a piece of shit that deserves the biggest punishment the world can give him. I don't know what the punishment is. I'll let the world decide. He deserves to suffer. He deserves to suffer. I'm sorry that happened to you, OP. For real. That is awful. That is terrible. Most people that play TTRPGs out there, they aren't insane. These RPG horror stories are literally just an outlier of bad things happening. Most games out there don't have an RPG horror story. They just play the game. They just play the game and don't write an RPG horror story because they don't have too much things to go through. But sometimes you have a moment where this horrible piece of shit comes around in your life and does something awful and terrible. Yeah, I'm sorry, honestly. I wouldn't blame you if you didn't want to play TTRPGs again, honestly. This was a terrible, terrible experience to go through. I am so sorry about that, for real. Let's get to the next story for today before I get even more sad, dude. Yeah, let's clear the palate a little bit. Let's clear it up. Fighter saves me from potentially abusive relationship. Posting on an alt account because anxiety. This isn't so much of a horror story as one that could have turned horrific. Started playing D&D about 6 months ago. A coworker told me that her husband and friends play regularly, and she thought I'd enjoy it. So they invited me over, and we have been playing together since. There were 2 DMs in a friend group, but the one running an upcoming one-shot we'll just call DM. He's my coworker's husband, and an overall really nice guy, and a great DM. He's the one who runs the campaign I'm in now. My coworker we'll call Druid. There's also another friend from the party, Wizard. And then there's Fighter. Fighter is the other DM of the group. He runs his own campaign and have been for years. By far the most experienced of all of us despite being one of the younger members. I'd started seeing this guy a few weeks ago, and given that I hadn't dated since high school because of some really bad experiences, I was more than a bit nervous, but he was really nice and assured and didn't try to pressure me into anything. Even so, my friend wanted to meet him and set up one shot to break the ice. Boyfriend had been playing for a year or so and had known the rules, so we both agreed. Boyfriend picked me up the night off and we went over to DM and Druid's house. The one shot was pirate themed. We were hired mercenaries trying to retrieve a sunken treasure from a shipwreck. Everything went smoothly with the first 2 hours of the session. Wizard did wizard things, Druid turned to a dolphin, and Fighter spent most of the time supporting the rest of us with his skill, RP and items, and clever use of cantrips. He always made it a point to ask me and Boyfriend, the 2 quieter members of the group, what we thought about the situation or the best way to handle an obstacle. I played a rogue and Boyfriend played a bard. Things took a turn when we got to a grotto that supposedly had a map to the shipwreck. Inside was a mermaid. I managed to convince her to let us borrow the map, but only for 10 minutes. Fighter, Druid, and Wizard took the map back to our boat to copy it and chart the course, and then left me and Boyfriend to watch the mermaid to keep her from trying anything sketchy. As soon as we were alone, Boyfriend turned to DM and said, "I cast Charm Person on the mermaid." Sure, these mermaids are technically humanoids, so no problem. She fails the save and is charmed. Boyfriend turned to me and smiled. "Do you wanna fuck her?" Excuse me? What? No? "She's charmed. All you have to do is ask and she'll agree." Okay, hold on. This is getting some really creepy territory right now. Red flag, red flag. Why didn't DM stop this? At this point, DM is dumbfounded and can't find words. Fighter, however, spoke up. Yeah, no, we aren't doing that. You're not there. You don't know what's happening. My character doesn't, but I do know. And I'm saying you aren't doing that. It's Rogue's choice. He turned to me. Do you want to? I was too shocked to say anything and just faintly shook my head. Dude, this guy is leaving everybody flabbergasted. What the hell? Ugh, fine. Wait to make me waste a spell slot. Hey man, that's super not cool. We shouldn't have to ask you to not use magic to coerce sex from someone. Boyfriend and DM argued for almost 5 minutes about how boyfriend didn't do anything because he offered the choice to me, so he shouldn't be punished for it because it's not like he snuggled her or anything. Either way, you're setting somebody up to basically give an opportunity for like, hey, they're charmed. Do you want to do it with them? That's very creepy and that's very strange. And just because things didn't happen, you gave somebody an opportunity to do that. Like your intention was clear to be like, let me help this person out by throwing them into a situation where they can snuggle somebody that is charmed to sex. That's weird, man. That's really, really weird. And that's not cool at most tables. I think most people would be like weirded out. I mean, the whole party, DM, everybody is just dumbfounded. They're just dumbstruck at this whole thing. What's another good word for that? Gobsmacked. That's another good one. They're gobsmacked over this action. Eventually, Fighter got up and told boyfriend to leave. Boyfriend told him, not until we finish. Then Rogue and me will leave. Fighter told him that he was leaving now. Boyfriend stood up and got in his face and told Fighter to make him and pushed Fighter's shoulder back. I should mention at this time that Boyfriend was about 4 inches taller than Fighter and had probably 40 pounds on him. Fighter elbowed him under the chin, grabbed him by the back of the belt, and dragged him to the door, opened it and pulled Boyfriend outside, closing the door behind them. All of us were gobsmacked, hey, that's the word, and didn't say anything. I was on the verge of panic attack and DM went pale. 30 seconds later, Fighter walked back inside, collected Boyfriend's things, opened the door, and threw the bag on Boyfriend, who was lying face down on the grass. Fighter apologized to everyone, especially me, and said that Boyfriend was going home and any of the party would be happy to drop me off at my flat whenever I liked. We took a recess for a few minutes to calm down. Imagine conflict happening in table, getting out of table, dude. That's fucking wild, man. That's actually some wild stuff. We don't get many stories like that. A lot of this stuff is just creepy actions happen in game, but you can see that a lot of things can happen IRL too. In-person games can go weird sometimes. And there have been a lot of RPG horror stories that I watched from like Crispy's Tavern, Crit Crab, Den of the Drake. People go unhinged IRL and it's wild, dude. It's wild. Maybe I should stick to some online games the whole time to avoid this situation. We started playing again, and before long, I got a string of angry texts from Boyfriend about Fighter and the rest of the group, and how he was trying to do something sexy to get me in the mood for the night after he took me home. All of which I ignored. How do you find that sexy? What is sexy about charming somebody to give unsolicited, unconsensual sexual favors? What is that? There are people out there that have really strange fetishes that I know. Some people kind of have like very rough kinks. I don't want to call them out or say what the kinks are. I'm pretty sure I'd get in trouble on YouTube if I start listing 70 different kinks that I heard about that people are into. But either way, that's not a good way to spring up on somebody. First, you gotta know what the hell they even into in the first place, and then kind of go from there. But don't do it at a D&D table in front of other people. They're just weird. It's weird. Yeah, I think you dodged a bullet with that one. The guy seems like a extremely unsavory fellow. Fuck. He's unsavory. Fuck. Why do I keep forgetting to curse, man? I think I'm just so used to like censoring myself when it comes to editing videos. I just don't think about it. But you know what? I'm just gonna go on Hinge. Guy's a creepy fucking rapist. I'm gonna have to censor a bunch of this, but I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna have to censor that too. Oh, fuck it. Whatever. We finished the session and Druid took me home. The next day at work, Druid showed me an arrest record where Boyfriend had caught a domestic violence charge 3 years ago. I broke up with him and haven't heard from him since. Also, good job, Morrow, for not recording this part, you idiot. I'm running this here to thank Fighter for what he did. I know violence isn't the answer, but who knows what could have happened if I stayed with my boyfriend and refused him sexually. Fighter stood up for me and saved me from probably getting hurt by the guy, and I'm too scared to thank him. Fighter, thank you so much. Hope one day I can let you know how grateful I am. Well, Fighter to the rescue, I guess. And yeah, I wish the DM would have been able to kick him out and stuff, but if the guy was a bit more of a violent fella that, like, you know, tries to push his weight around. I know some people that have nothing going on, like, you know, brain, but they like to push the weight around to like dominate people. So I guess in this situation, glad the fighter knew what the hell to do. Good thing for fighter for looking out for everybody there. In-game relationship gets so bad that the player fudged their own death saving throw. I was DMing for a group of 6 people in an online Curse of Strahd campaign. This was actually the 3rd attempt at getting through the campaign due to having a change in DMs within the group for various reasons. We're all friends outside of the campaign, and the people at the table, including a polyamorous couple who were all various letters of the LGBTQ+ community. After a few years of this group interacting online, sharing our personal lives with each other, and developing what we all consider to be as close a friendship as possible under the circumstances, we planned for everyone to meet up in my town so we could all be together when I proposed to my then girlfriend. As soon as everyone met in person, things got weird. But a lot of the red flags happened away from the table. It wasn't until we had our first in-person session of the campaign that I saw just how many red flags that were being thrown. 2 of the players, we'll call them Cindy and Nelly, had decided they wanted to play this campaign as a married couple. I read the backstory and approved it, thinking that the intimate relationship could add an extra layer of tension to the campaign, which the group agreed was a good thing. Throughout the campaign, Nelly would make decisions regarding her character build and roleplay, only to be questioned by Cindy if Nelly's character wouldn't rather make some other decision that would benefit Cindy. This happened gradually, so most of us didn't realize how often it was actually happening until we're together in person. If you are going to be making tie-in stories regarding your characters being in a relationship of some kind or partnership of any kind, it is always good to know to talk to the player that you're making the backstory with and deciding what kind of a dynamic y'all want to have and agreeing on it ahead of time. It is perfectly fine for characters to be in a thing together, but have their own autonomy. There's nothing wrong with that. Or if you decide one person wants to have a greater devotion to the other, that can be a thing as well. I actually have that for my Aarakocra Ranger. He has a friend who's an Owlin, so, you know, 2 birds of a feather fighting together kind of thing. The Aarakocra and the Owlin grew up as orphans in an orphanage primarily dominant with humanoids such as elves and humans, so they sort of stood out. But the 2 characters stuck together through life and grew up to basically be more of an underground assassin type characters that kind of look out for each other since nobody else is out there to look out for them. And my Aarakocra's Ranger's primary goal is to make sure that the Owlin is happy. But I discussed the sort of dynamic with the player that's playing the Owlin, and they're perfectly fine with it. We decided that this is the kind of dynamic we wanted to have, this sort of like a birdie camaraderie, and they'll find with my Aarakocra Ranger having this sort of like a protective mentality where the primary goal is to make sure that the partner is happy, and if the partner ain't happy, then things don't really go well. But this needs to be discussed out of character and agreed by both parties. If this is just one of those things that just gets sprung up out of nowhere without being discussed, that can create problems. During that session, Cindy argued with Nelly about every single decision that Nelly made. Nelly goes into combat. Cindy tells her that Nelly's character would stay behind to protect Cindy. Nelly buys a healing potion. Cindy assumes that the potion is for Cindy. Nelly smiles at the NPC. Cindy accuses her of cheating. Okay, yeah, never mind. Compared to my Aarakocra and the Owlin, this right here between Nelly and Sydney, I'm gonna guess the title is tied to Nelly basically trying to escape Cindy's grasp. I don't know, but I'm getting a feeling that Nelly and Cindy need to talk IRL or something. So we get into the vineyard scene with the druids, and it's a complete bloodbath. Nelly was playing a druid at the time, so she took the action of the evil druids personally and rushed into battle, which caused Cindy to throw an absolute fit about how irresponsible Nelly was being with her character, and how Nelly's character should be staying back, and Nelly's character would care more about Cindy's character than to do something so stupid. After the die were cast and the damage was tallied, Nelly's character was at 0 HP, and the death saving throw began. The first one was a normal fail, I think it was like a 7, and Cindy started going off on Nelly for being reckless. So I watched Nelly roll her second throw and turn a d20 in her hands as she picked it up to read off the natural 1, killing her character. I'm assuming this is implied that they wanted their character to die because they're just so fed up with the whole dynamic. And they're kind of sad, but also kind of funny that the players purposely fudging rolls for the death saving throw of all things to try to kill their character so they can stop with this dynamic. I think it would just be much easier for Cindy and Nelly to just talk it out of game and discuss and basically say, okay, I don't want this, but I want this. Can we have this instead? Figuring out dynamics and solving these sort of things out of game is probably the easiest way to do so. But the fact that the player is fudging their dice and I mean, I guess cheating in a sense to try to get their character killed, I feel like there's something a little bit more going on. Maybe this is out of spite or something. I'm not fully sure. That group ignored a lot of red flags for a long time after that, but fortunately my wife, and Nelly did eventually leave for the sake of our own mental health. And now Nelly is in a different campaign with us at a table full of people who actually care about each other. It was a short and sweet story, and I'm glad it ended properly. But yeah, look out for red flags and deal with the red flags ahead of time. You don't want to have the situation where they have one player that's possessive over the other, and it just becomes a mess. It really becomes a mess. This kind of stuff needs to be looked out for and curbed as soon as you see it, because if you never curb it, it's just gonna continue getting worse and worse. And if problem is never presented, it can just devolve. But hey, I'm glad you guys are doing much better. I hope you, your wife, and Nelly are having a good time playing through games together. And with that, that's going to be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales Tomorrow. Bye-bye.